Today with guest Kitty Swink for the PanCan Star Trek team, and happy birthday, Ralph. Today on Trekland Tuesdays Live, number 396. Can you believe it? With me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland through the Trekland Treks. If you're ready for your own customized away mission around SoCal to real Star Trek film sites that you design with my help and my concierge, give me a call, give me a hoot, give me a shout out at larrynemecek.com or treklandtreks.com. Check it out. But here we are again for another Tuesday of some sanity, clarity, and a bigger picture in all things Star Trek. I'm so thrilled to be back with everybody for another Tuesday. We've got a great guest, lots going on, and good stuff is happening this week. And you may have seen a lot in the Star Trek airwaves recently about, once again, it's pancreatic cancer time. The PanCan team, Star Trek it's evolved where we've got a lot of our family working so much to alleviate, to research, to knock down this dread disease. And that's why I'm so thrilled to have a familiar face today on with us. Hey, Kitty, get in here, everybody. It's Kitty Swink.
Hi, Larry.
Hi. Listen, I know I hate almost introducing you as you know her as Armin Sherman's wife, because look, Kitty has her own claim to fame in the Trek world, along with, well, Minister Roseanne and Luara of Vorda. But I mean, we're not even talking about decades and decades of theater and screen work. We were just talking about your time on design. Yeah. Wearing a purple dress, you said. What?
That's right. And saying the meanest thing I've ever said in my life to Delta Burke, or about Delta Burke, who was a friend and really dear. Yeah. Is really dear. I'm sure I haven't seen her for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanest line I've ever said.
Okay. I was going to say, this was a line of dialogue, not
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm all ears. What was it?
So I was one of the mean girls at her high school class reunion. And of course, she was the coolest girl. And it was an episode where they dealt with the fact that Delta had gained weight. And I'm standing in the bathroom at the high school reunion, and we're gossiping. And one of the other girls says something. And I said, "Oh, you mean this? This is so mean. The poster girl for the Save the Whale Foundation." And when I was done saying it, I walked off camera when they yelled cut. And instead of putting his arms around Delta, Gerald McCraney, her husband, gave me a big hug and said, "It's okay, you didn't write the line."
It's a job. It's a job.
I know. I felt so bad.
Oh, that's a great little story. Well, listen, we're talking about the purple that you were. This is the most purple thing I have currently.
It's very purple, Larry.
So I should have tried to jilt the lighting here a little bit to send me out of magenta more into purple. But we're talking purple because I say this is PanCan week. And I know a lot of Trek fans, a lot of folks in general, see you and Armin and Jonathan and John Billingsley and Manny Cotto's brother and kind of the kind of general Star Trek family talking about it a lot. Mm-hmm. But why don't you explain? Because it's pancreatic cancer research. I hate to say this. Well, I don't hate to say this. Thank goodness. All the major diseases and afflictions, people have people that are doing research on behalf of that. There's always the need for more research money everywhere. A lot of times it's a personal stake. And if people don't know, it's very personal to you, I know.
Well, I'm a 21-year survivor. At the time I was diagnosed, I had a 3 to 4% chance of living 5 years. So I'm a unicorn. And the survival rate is now 13%, but that's not good enough. Part of the problem is because it presents, when the symptoms get severe, it presents very late in the disease. So people don't know until they're inoperable. I did a television show yesterday with one of the major surgeons in LA about it. And we talked about how different the survival rate is, but it's not good enough. So PanCan, the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, I have such hay fever. The Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, does a lot of things. It supports research. It talks to the government and asks them to support research themselves. And I have to say, under the current administration, we lost 57% of the funding from Congress and all of the funding from the defense budget, which was an enormously exciting program. So we're now trying to make up for some of that money. All of us give money, and we ask people to give money. And if you can't give money, share it on social media, or come, if you're in LA, come walk with us, or walk in one of the 60 cities around the country. And we train doctors to look for what's going on so that they know when people catch it later. Yeah.
So in other words, saying, oh, I had a screening for pancreatic cancer and we got it at stage 1. That's just not a thing that's heard. I'm thinking there's stage 4.
4 stages. I was diagnosed at stage 2B, which means that I had lymph node involvement. So it really is unusual that I survived. And there's a surgery, the major surgery they do is they take out half your stomach, your gallbladder, half my pancreas, a couple of feet of my intestines, and 28 lymph nodes. And boom, there you go. Now, when I did it, I have a big upside down happy face on my abdomen, but now they can do it with partial robotic surgery, and it's a much, much better deal, much easier to recover from.
Well, good on that end of it, but just on the fact of earlier detection, they're getting the point where they can, there's symptoms that are seen, or they can read tests, or pick it up from other things, or.
But there's no easy thing like a mammogram. There's no easy thing like a PSA test for prostate cancer. There just isn't that. And so that's one of the things that we're really promoting, looking for, and helping fund that kind of research. Here's some things you can say. Do you have a first relation relative, like a brother or a sister or a parent? Does it run in your family? Do you, after 50, get sudden onset diabetes? That's a clue. Lower back pain, sudden weight loss. Did you turn yellow? Because the bile duct is, I mean, that's what I'm waiting in the emergency room to go in to get admitted to the hospital, and I turned bright yellow. Woo, that was fun. And it went really well with my then very red hair. So yeah, it's a lot, but most people don't know that, and a lot of doctors just don't think about it. A dear friend of ours who was a wonderful theater director passed a few weeks ago, and the doctor said, "Oh, you have gallbladder cancer."
Oh, and they're treating the wrong.
Yeah,
they're chasing the wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it has gotten better since you. Yeah, it's.
13% is a lot better than 4. Hugely better, but not better enough.
And the percentage is higher because some of these earlier warning signs are still subtle, but there's something to keep in mind. It's on the checklist.
We've trained doctors. We're better at surgery. There's some new treatments. There was sort of one sledgehammer protocol in terms of what drugs you took when I was diagnosed, but there's all kinds of exciting stuff. The FDA approved a new drug for people who are inoperable and have a particular kind of pancreatic cancer 2 weeks ago. It's changing, but it's not changing fast enough for me. Yeah. It's the 3rd most deadly disease, cancer disease in the United States, and it's on track to become the 2nd. And part of that is because people weren't diagnosed until after they were never diagnosed. They just died.
Right.
So now we diagnose more people, but we're also saving more of those people, which is great. That's the good part.
Right. It's a long road that they're working on. They need to get the early detection, and then what to do once it's detected. But it's coming along, but it just needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Well, so I know. So Jonathan is involved. He lost his brother
Daniel.
years ago. Daniel, yes. Manny, and now John is. Remind me what his
mother died. It was literally weeks. She didn't like to go to the doctor, and then she kept going to the doctor, and they kept going, "Oh, we'll wait for a few weeks, and then we'll wait for a few weeks." And by the time waiting for a few weeks was found what it was weeks before she died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the last few years, you all have done a great job of finding each other.
Yes.
Presenting this thing, and within Star Trek world, and probably because people have adjacent. Armin has Buffy world.
Yep.
Jonathan has it's all fiction. It's all it's all true.
Yes.
I mean, and John also works a lot with the Hollywood Food Coalition, Trek Talks. But I mean, everybody has a lot of overlapping audiences. There's strength in numbers and all that. But so tell us, things kind of peak at this time of year. Tell us exactly. It's the walk.
Right.
I know you all are out raising funds, raising awareness all year long. But tell us how what the PanCan's like year looks like, and why this is
So
the year.
Saturday is the annual walk in 60 cities around the country. It's called Purple Stride. If you're going to be in LA, just join our team. You don't have to donate anything, but we'd love it if you did. I'm not going to lie. And come walk. John Billingsley and JC Cotto, Juan Carlos Cotto, and I'll be there. Armin and Jonathan will be out of town this year, which is too bad. But Armin has done the walk in Kansas and various places. We all do the best we can. It's really fun. It's very hopeful. There's lots of swag and stuff. And, you know, if you're on our team, you can come over and have a bagel in my tent. It's good. It's really good.
Okay.
JC brings his wife, his brother's widow, and their 4 kids all walk. It's really exciting. Last year, Jess showed up from Strange New Worlds.
Oh, good.
Oh my God, Jess, you're here! She went, I know! And it was really, because we met on a cruise a few years ago and we're like instantly friends. And when she's in LA, we hike. Because Star Trek really is a family.
Mm-hmm.
There are Star Trek teams that are allied with us all around the country. The Star Trek family is doing a fundraiser right now and is going to do a swag auction for us. We've been signing stuff.
That's Star Trek Family, the online Facebook, etc. group. Okay, we'll give them a shout out.
Cast is always involved. There's people around the country. Last year, very sweetly, other groups from around the country joined us. They had walks in New Hampshire and Maryland. You know, it was great. It's amazing.
A local. Yeah, well, that's good. So, is there a central?
Yes, go to purplestride.org and you can see where there is a walk. Purplestride.org, and you can see where there's a walk in your city. And if you look for Team Trek against pancreatic cancer, but just type into the thing in the search bar for the Team Trek, and you'll come up with all of us. You'll come up with our page and our pictures and our woohoo. And our goal this year is 150, but I think all in we'll be at about 170. We may not be there by Saturday, but we'll be over 150 by Saturday. We're at 134,000 right now. And I happen to know there's some more money coming in and some money from the cruise, because every year on the cruise, there's the PanCan breakfast, and it's extraordinary. And when I go to those breakfasts, always, a lot of those people have been affected by somebody in their family or somebody they love. 2 years ago on the cruise, I was talking to a lovely man, and then I went from the cruise with John Billingsley to the auction that Bob Picardo was doing. And when the auction was over, this lovely man said to me, I just got a call. A person who was like my stepmother has been diagnosed. In that moment between the breakfast and the auction. So it hits a lot of people that we all love and care about, and just too many people generally.
Well, and that sounds like the nature of the disease is that it is a surprise and a shock to people, because it's found, it's not something that we're working on it, but it's not something that presents itself. So when you find out, it's
right. I just thought there was my Cecily Adams, who played Moogie.
Oh yeah.
When I was sick and didn't know I was sick, Cecily was in the hospital with lung cancer. They had a 2-year-old at that time. Maddie was 2. I was really worried about her, and my father had Alzheimer's, and I was his executor, and it was a lot of work trying to take care of him and do that. And I just thought I was under a lot of pressure, and I was rehearsing Hamlet with Armin and Tony Amendola. And so I just assumed I was losing weight because I was stressed out, because some people gain weight when they're stressed out. I'm a scrawny person, so I got scrawnier. And then I had lower back pain, but I'm a dumb jock, so I just assumed that was what it was. And I was at the hospital visiting Cecily, and her childhood nanny looked at me and said, I don't think you should be worried about Cess. I think you should be worried about yourself. And I came home and said that to Armin, and I called my doctor. That was on a Thursday, and they said, well, we can't get you in for a couple of weeks. but we'll get you in. And then the next morning they called and said, can you come right now? We just had a cancellation. She said, well, you're probably just stressed out. You're under a lot of pressure, but let's just do some blood tests. Over the weekend, my urine turned brown. On Monday, just because it was really stressful, I was at a funeral for a friend of mine's son who had immolated himself in his grandfather's car. And when we got home, there was a message saying, go to Cedars-Sinai right now. Your liver and your kidneys are shutting down. 17 days later, I came out having had that surgery. And at that time, I was still 5'10". I've shrunk a little since then because, I'm old. And I got down to 90 pounds. I weighed 90 pounds. And here I am 21 years later because I'm lucky, and it's my job to make sure other people are lucky too.
And we're creeping there. We're getting there. But
yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Now, is there, just out of information, is there the work goes on? Are there other events through the year? I mean,
yes.
Is the
November is Pancreatic Cancer Month, so that's always a big deal. We are constantly walking the halls of Congress, and if you sign up just to be aware of PanCan, they will send you things and say, today, call your member of Congress and your senator because this funding is up for a vote. Or, you can help in so many ways, and that's what we try and encourage people to do. The other thing PanCan does, and I think it's really important because this is year-round and it's free,
right,
is they have something called Patient and Family Services. You need, if you have pancreatic cancer, to have one of our case managers at the table with you. They can tell you if your doctor is expert in this disease. They can tell you what all of the clinical trials are for the new drugs. They can help you in so many ways. And they don't just help the patient, they help the family members. It was much harder on Armin than it was on me. My job was putting one foot in front of the other. My job was to stop throwing up and gain a little bit of weight. My job was that. His job was everything else. Everything else, much harder for him. So what they do for the families is incredible. A lot of you guys probably know Larry Pressman. He did a lot of episodes of
Oh, yes.
Lovely human being and an old dear friend of ours. And when I was sick, his wife Lana had MS for many, many years. So when everybody else was taking care of me, Larry took it upon himself to take care of Armin. And I will love him I would have loved him for the rest of eternity anyway, but I especially love him because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, people that want to jump in time for so there's walks in, you said 60
cities. You can just go onto the Purple Stride website and I'll tell you where the walks are. And if you want to start a walk in your own community and there is a walk, there's a way to do that on the website too.
And you said you have some Star Trek family allied teams in a lot of those other cities.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So if you want to specifically not just help out and join in, but join in with Trek family.
Yep.
Find that in a lot of places too.
Yeah.
Or even start one of your own, I guess, maybe.
Start one of your own. It's really cool what the Star Trek folks do. So many of the fan clubs and podcasts stand with us. Okay. I didn't sleep very well last night. So many because Star Trek fans love science, they're generous, they're kind, and they like to hang out together. So they're the perfect organization. It's what I've been a Trek fan since I was a little kid. My brother, who grew up to be a rocket scientist, got my other brother, my middle brother, and I watching the show when we were kids. Don was always going to be some kind of a scientist, but he became a rocket scientist because of Star Trek, I like to say. So Star Trek family is real to us.
Where does he live?
He lives outside of Seattle on one of the islands in the Puget Sound.
Okay. I didn't know if he was LA or back east.
No, he lived for a long time down in the San Diego area, but he lived in Seattle and then he lived in the LA area for a while.
Okay. Star Trek has inspired so many people to do so many things, but especially when you hear rocket science, it always makes me smile.
Yeah.
Well, this is amazing. Kitty, what's going now? I know Armin directed 12th Night for in the spring.
which I was in.
Which you would, yes, I was going to say. So coming off like that, and Antaeus is another passion that you all have, and supporting. We should give them a shout out while I've got you here.
The NTS Theater Company.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Armin was an associate artistic director and a former artistic director of the theater. Yeah. Yeah.
And we've talked about that over the years too. Many things. Well, listen, thanks for doing this today. I said I hadn't been giving my due diligence here to helping spread the word. Although I know you all do a great job promoting all over the place, and the whole Team Trek does a great job of that. But
we're working on it. We're very competitive with the other teams. I did a TV show with Dr. Nissen yesterday, and his team is the Cedar Sinai Whipplers. And when we're sitting in the green room before we went in front of the camera, we were like, he said, "You're ahead of me this year," and I was like, "Yeah." We adore each other, but there you go. That's it.
It's competition.
I have to plug something else.
Oh, sure.
We're doing a new play that we opened June 5th here in LA.
Oh.
Called Outside Mullingar. And today on my Facebook page, one of the Irish Star Trek fans, who's adorable, said, "Well, aside from the fact of the name of the play and the fact that I live outside Mullingar, I can't be there because it's a little bit far for me to get there." So there you go.
It's a little bit far for me to get there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. So we're going Irish again. Yeah.
Okay. So so tell us again the details and how to get more on that if you're in the
It's for the Sixth Act Theater. We're doing it at the Matrix Theater. If you go to either Armin's or my Instagram page, you'll see it. And we just started rehearsal, so it's great.
Oh, good. See, yeah. This is I don't know. Actors never retire. It's always about the life and the work. Yes.
Why would I retire? It's too much fun. It's the best thing ever, especially being on stage with my husband.
Yeah.
Where we do the whole play, we're doing nothing but giving each other a lot of trouble. It's great.
Oh, okay. Like not a Punch and Judy show, but I mean one of those. Yeah.
We're just needling each other through the whole play.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Kitty. Listen, thank you so much for dropping by. And again, everything Purple Stride is
purplestride.org.
Okay.
/Team Trek.
Oh, okay. If you want to get there, I think
you want to go straight to us. But if you want to go, but you can get to us and go to the website and see what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Right. Or do something about your neck of the woods.
Or do something about your neck of the woods. Yeah. Oh, wait, I got to get off the Irish. Sorry.
Anyway, Kitty, it's so good to see you again. Yeah. Thanks so much. And thanks for coming on short notice, actually, this week and talking about this and keeping it front of mind for everybody.
My pleasure.
Yes. You. Okay. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. All right, everybody. I've got another little soapbox. So, Kitty, you don't have to hang on unless you want to hear me talk about my other mini topic for the week. So, anyway, my huge thanks to Kitty because she came on short notice. I wanted to do something for PanCan this week, and I know that the PanCan team has been out and about doing a lot. For one thing, I'm excited because the PanCan Purple Stride is this Saturday. What's also opening Friday, and this is rather regional, it's an LA thing, but it's kind of amazing, and I can't wait to check it out. But you may have heard this, Universal Hollywood, not Universal Studios in Florida, but the original Universal in Hollywood is hosting FanFest nights, and there's about 6 or 8 franchises that have a real fun experience. And when you get your ticket, you can go. It's weekends now for the next 6 weeks or so. It opens Friday night. Star Trek is one of the franchises. That's, of course, there's Harry Potter. There's some anime. There's Back to the Future is another. And they've been getting the word out different places. Some of the folks who are the influencers and the social folks went to the early session that I couldn't get to. We had a conflict, but I'm going to be there Friday night. I may try to do some lives. We'll see how that goes, and I'll for sure talk to you about it next week. I'm curious to see how much old school vibes come up for me personally, because pieces of the event, the adventure that you could actually get into, remind me a little bit about the classic, wonderful, original, and the original ride at Star Trek Experience in Vegas at the old Hilton. anyway, I'm wanting to see how much of that gets conjured up, see how it looks. And they're using the D bridge from Picard that was saved, that our friends Dave Blass and all of them, it was about to get scrapped or whatever. And they said, hey, why not? We really should save this. And friends at licensing and promotion and marketing jumped in and said, yes, we should save this. So here it is being used. I hope it doesn't, I hope it survives having thousands of loving fans tromping through the next few weekends. But we'll see. I can't wait to get there. And if you're in the greater LA area, I know they've still got tickets. You can pick dates, but it opens this Friday for at least a month or so. So look forward to seeing a lot about that from everywhere, and look forward to me sharing that night. And then going forward, we'll see what's happening. The other thing that I want to share with everybody today is, and I've got to jump on into this myself, but we are blessed to have one of the active, regular, and renowned directors from the original series still with us. And if you've been in Portal 47, if you have been around the Trek files the last few years, you'll know I'm talking about Ralph Senensky, who is an amazing guy. He is still very much with us. I finally, after thinking I'd waited too long, finally got by and visited him, interviewed him on video about 3 years ago as we were coming out of pandemic. Has a wonderful coast just south of the Bay Area here in California. Wonderful house with a lovely garden out front. And I finally did get by to see, and we've used some of those, a lot of the audio from that interview we used as the Trek files, because he directed he did This Side of Paradise. Yes, Spock and the Spores. He did Zephram Cochrane and The Companion. Yes. He did Tholian Web, infamously. He did Return to Tomorrow, Sargon and Thalassa. I mean, he did 6 to 8 classic episodes of Trek, and then right in the middle of we're diving a little bit into Trek Files history here a little bit, Portal 47 stuff, but he'd already turned in several classic episodes and been directing in Hollywood for years. He was a working director, well known, obviously, doing great work. And Paramount bought Desilu and was cutting the budget back. And to Paramount at that time, Star Trek was one of those crazy shows they inherited from Desilu that was so expensive, they didn't think it was worth it for the ratings. I know. And if you're a credit watcher, especially after 50 years of watching, you know the executive in charge of production was Herb Solo for Desilu, and then it became Douglas S. Kramer when things went to the Paramount Blue in the titles. And it was Douglas S. Kramer who took it upon himself during Tholian Web, when Ralph had directed the first 3 days. Not his fault, the spacesuits weren't ready. They were actually literally sewing and fitting Walter and Dee and Leonard into their suits. They'd done Shatner over the weekend. And stupidly, not communicating, the wardrobe department did not let anyone know that the suits weren't ready and they required this much time. They could have put all those scenes at the end of the shoot. Instead, they had them up front and delayed, dominoed everything. They could have been shooting everything else first, and when those were really truly ready, done those late. They had a 6-day shoot, maybe a 7-day shoot with all the visual effects, the plates. Anyway, because he was a day and a half behind, and with a plan to make it up at the end, but he knew of, he was fine. But because of that, the attention ran up the flagpole, and newly in office, Douglas S. Kramer was going to make an example of these crazy, maniacally overrun directors, which Ralph was not. He was fine. He had a history of delivering them. And was fired. In the middle of the shoot, they let the DP, the new DP, Herb Wallerstein, come in and finish directing the episode. Ralph was stunned. But, you know, he was a good soldier. It wasn't his fault. He tried to say that, but it was too late. This guy was going to make an example. Not only did he fire the guy, though, he went to the paper. He went to the trades. He went to Variety and Hollywood Reporter, which is never done unless somebody is just an anathema, you know. And this was the 60s. This wasn't social media crazy today. He called him out by name and said, we just want to let the world know that Paramount's going to deliver your shows on time and on. But made a complete held him up to ridicule and humiliation. And guess who didn't work for years after that? Right. Thankfully, with the help of friends. James Comack was a good friend, and he was doing The Courtship of Eddie's Father, which was like a dramedy, one of the earliest dramedies. Quality show. Brought him in to direct that when nobody else was touching him because he was too hot. And eventually Ralph wound up doing as many or more episodes of The Waltons over its long run as any other director did, and then went on and restored his career. But he was always burned by that. And the director of amazing classic episodes was not around to talk about it. He did not want to talk about Star Trek because he was so pissed and hurt and burned. And when you're close to something like that, talk to the people that worked the first year of Next Generation. Talk to some people who, that happens. It happens. And sometimes time will tell. The long and the short of this is that Ralph had a great career after that debacle, but he didn't talk about it. And after he semi-retired, was directing a community theater production of You Can't Take It With You, my favorite play. And a couple of the cast members, a couple of the young actors were huge Trek fans. And when they realized it was the Ralph Zininsky, because if you're a Trek fan, you know your credits, especially original series that you watched for 20 or 30 years, they got him to talk about it. And he realized from them that he was holding out on the world. And so for the last 10, 15 years, Ralph he's been out there talking about Trek the way he did with me. He did a lot with Scott Mance's podcast, too, on the original series. It turns out, folks, that Ralph is 102 years young May 1st. And I just want to share this with everybody. I'll put it here in the chat. We'll run this later, too. There's a fan group that puts together, they did this last year. They put together a virtual birthday card for Ralph. If you want to give your greetings, they're welcoming anybody and everyone to leave a message for Ralph on his 102nd birthday. Here's the address in chat. If you want to pick up on that, please do. You can tell him you heard it from Larry. But whatever you do, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to put that out there because he's a treasure and a wonder. And that we have so few direct links to the original series currently that he's just a treasure. What else can I say? What else can I say? Listen, gang, I'm going to leave it there. I'm so thrilled that Kitty could join us today to talk about PanCan. And on short notice, you heard her talking about how Armin and Jonathan are working. Everybody is so busy. They do an amazing job. I always stop and think because, DeForest Kelley had stomach cancer. And and this was 25 years ago, 26 years ago now. It's one of the painful cancers, but like pancreatic cancer, it's a hidden. There's no overt symptoms or signs. They're having to really, really do the research to give people a better chance at early detection, much less treatment after it's detected. And it's a lot the same way. They've had a lot more success with pancreatic cancer, I believe, than that. But that's next door and adjacent to me when Kitty tells those stories and those cases. And the fact that so many just in our Star Trek creative family have a tie to pancreatic cancer, that it tells you what you need to know. So there you go. Go purple, everybody, if you can. And as Kitty says, find out what's happening locally to you and find out maybe there's a Team Trek New Year. And if not, maybe you can start one if you're so inspired. There's a lot of activism going on. And sadly, as you heard her say, there's a little bit of politics evolved in what's happening. So they're double scrambling this year to make up for some of the funds that apparently are going to be cut in this mad meat cleaver. So doubly, no one's panicking. They're going to keep the research going. They're just redoubling their efforts this year, especially. If there was ever a year to jump in and be involved with causes like this, this is the year. So everybody, listen, let's call it there. Let's wish Ralph a happy birthday, and let's wish Kitty and Armin, Jonathan, JC, John, the whole team, and all their Team Trek allies across the country a lot of success this weekend. And I want to express my thanks, of course, to our TTLers, my Patreon group, the TTL club here for Trekland Tuesdays Live. Thank you so much for your support. And that means, when I say that, of course, I mean Chuck A., James Kerwin, Diana Hopkins, hey, Halbert Gunn Johnson, Lawrence Todd, Greg Wickstrom, Mitch Keith, Andrew Jazimski, Justin Weir, Joshua Patton, Pranakasha Productions, Chris Jiggins, Keith Rombach, and Comedy Forecast. Also, hey, our live wires. Thank you, our $10 providers. It's monthly. It's so easy to do, and I thank everybody there. Jesse at Crusher Convo, absolutely. Chris Garris, Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Gary Williams, James Durovich, Dave Gregory, Dan Leckie, and Casey Shafsky. Thanks so much. If you'd like to jump on my simple Patreon, boom, there it is. It's a $5 $10 level every month. Patreon.com/Trekland Live for the shout outs. And those early, I know I'm behind doing that. What I don't want you to be confused about is that's my Patreon. I've had it for several years. I so appreciate it. Helps us gradually grow what we can do here, including the last couple of years here, having more guests on, having that capacity. That's wonderful. That's not to be confused, the Trekland Patreon, not to be confused with the Mission Log Patreon with our friends at Roddenberry and the Roddenberry Discord. Gang, when I talk about the Trek Files, and there is a new episode up this week, we dive back into the mailbag. We have a lot of fun. My guest, John Champion. We do an annual or every season mailbag episode. It's up now. Please go to take a listen, take a look. Of course, we're the podcast with paperwork. We have homework, so you can get the paper and the audio and the links to what we're talking about at our new home at thetrekfiles.com, which is our page at Memory Alpha. I appreciate that. But here's the thing. If you want to talk about the episode with fellow Trekophiles spelled with an F, we now have a way to do that. The best of all, at the Discord, at the Roddenberry Discord, we have a Trek Files channel. We have Trek Files boards. And every other Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific, that's 7 Eastern. Not too bad. It's midnight UK time if you want to jump in with us. We have a live Trekophiles Tonight Discord show on camera. You can come on audio. It's that Roddenberry Discord family. They go around. All the shows have a live session. There are a lot of folks that don't have a show. They have a show that's not tied to a podcast. It's a whole different way to come in and find a fandom when you're associated to Star Trek. I haven't talked a lot about this because it's just become new. But look, you can join the Roddenberry Patreon for $1 a month. Just $1 a month gets you to the Roddenberry Patreon. And then you've got access to all this, including the Trek Files channel there and the Trek Files Tonight every other Monday at 4 p.m. This has been the off week. So next Monday, we'll be back at 4 p.m. Love to have you join us, however you want to get in. All right. And gang, the rest of the socials are all just Larry Nemecek on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Larry's Trekland Instagram here. If you have not done it yet, please like and subscribe, ring the bell. And yeah. That's YouTube. You can do Instagram, Facebook, all the others too. Love to have it. Love to see you. If you're watching us later on, love to have you with us live on a Tuesday sometime. But if you're watching us later, go ahead and leave a comment. We have live chat on Tuesday, but you can keep the conversation going right here. Have you done anything? Anyone been affected by pancreatic? No, I mean, we don't want to bring it down too much, but I love Kitty's honesty. I mean, when you've been there and back, you have no treks to give. So, we know those things happen in life, and sometimes sharing is powerful. And you can tell that Kitty has been used to it as she's recovered herself. Gang, that's it. I just want to say, does it need to go without saying? When I say stay healthy, do all the things, that includes getting checkups and paying attention to yourself and to your loved ones around you. You heard there are just so many little bits of stories there around the folks when something like this comes up, when we're talking about these major symptoms and major diseases. So yes, in all the ways, stay healthy, do all the things. And in all the ways, please stay woke, check the sources of what you're reading, and gang, truck well.